Welcome back to Glasp Talk. Today, we have Ann Smarty. And she's a co-founder of Smarty Marketing, a boutique SEO agency based in New York. And she has over 2 decades of experience in the digital marketing landscape, and a former editor-in-chief at Search Engine Journal, and one of the top resources for SEO insights. And if you are in this industry, you might have read her article 1 or 2, at least, I think. And so she do many things. And today we'd like to ask her about SEO, marketing, branding, and so on. So we are so excited to have you, Ann. Welcome to Glasp Talk.
Thank you so much for having me. A quick fun fact about me is that I come from Ukraine. I moved to the United States about 11 years ago now, and I've always lived in New York for my lifetime in the United States, but I've been traveling a lot around the world, around the United States. So I have a lot going on in my life and career too. So it would be a nice discussion. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you. Yeah. So, yeah, you introduced us a little bit, but could you, some of our audience might not know you yet. So our audience are aspiring writers or influencers, creators. So they are wondering, I think, SEO, marketing, and just in case, could you introduce yourself a bit more to our audience?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not as good talking about myself because it always feels a little bit weird. When it comes to my SEO background, I started back when I was in college in Ukraine. I worked for a lot of brands at this point. It's been 20 years, so I've changed a lot of roles, from SEO analyst to blogger to editor-in-chief to a community manager, again, SEO analyst, link builder, guest blogging expert. I've had a lot of projects that I launched, sold. I've worked in-house for an agency. Now I have my own agency, which we treat very carefully with our strategists. We do not believe in templated reports. We do not believe in same strategy for every client. So we take every client very uniquely, and that's our selling point. So this is you can search Ann Smarty in Google. You will find a lot of content that I've written. You can also follow me on Twitter as SEO Smarty and on LinkedIn as Ann Smarty. I do send weekly newsletters covering all kinds of SEO, search, AI, trends, news, updates, anything that has been going on with Google, with its algorithm updates and how they work. So all of that I'm doing every week. So I'm trying to keep on top of everything that's going on, especially now that search is being so much impacted by generative AI, and the algorithm is changing a lot. So it's been a fun ride, and I think this year has been the most dramatic in our industry. A lot of small business owners, small publications have been impacted by all kinds of search changes, and that's what we are doing. We are trying to help them and keep on top of everything that's going on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And
that's a good
yeah,
sales point. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good sales point. You have username SEO marketing, SEO Smarty, so that's good. So yeah,
SEO Smarty, yes,
SEO
is my
Smarty.
Twitter profile, SEO Smarty, and that has my last name and Smarty, so it's easy to remember. And my agency is Smarty Marketing, so it's a lot of Smarty.
Yeah, easy to remember, and so people understand what you're doing. So in the beginning. And you mentioned that so you have touched a lot of things, a lot of projects like community manager or something else. But so what made you think so SEO is what you want to do?
Come again with the question. I don't think I understood it.
Yeah. So repeat. Yeah. So yeah, you mentioned that so you have worked with many projects like community managers or like something else. So but what made you think that so SEO is what you want to do?
What I'm going to get more focused on SEO in the future. That's my initial this year's plan. I'm not sure where my life and career will take me. anything that I've been doing has been somehow connected with SEO. Even when I was community manager, I was the manager of SEO forums and communities. So it was still SEO. So it was still my opportunity to learn SEO. So anything I've been doing mostly has been somehow SEO. So I've been learning SEO for with all of those roles. So yeah, it's been my focus basically. It's just different angles of SEO. Sometimes I had to speak to SEO experts when I was their community manager at the forum, or sometimes I had to write for blogs and I was still writing about SEO. So anything I was doing has been pretty much SEO, and it's going to stay that way. It's just SEO is changing so fast. So I'm glad to have such a diverse experience. So it's helpful now that everything is changing.
Nice. Yeah, exciting. And I'm curious, like SEO, like Google is changing algorithm, and then many search engines are changing their like a search algorithm, I think. And how do you keep up with the new updates? And also, as we mentioned, AI is kind of eating software nowadays. And how do you keep up these? And then what's your strategy in SEO? Sorry, it's a generic question.
So SEO, just I'm sure there will be some people who are not that familiar with this term. SEO is search engine optimization. It has always been about helping search to find, crawl, and rank your content. So it's not about faking anything. It's not about manipulating anything. It's making it easier for search engines to access your site, your content, your product pages, and all of that. With regards to how it's changing, the algorithm is changing. The fundamentals of SEO remain the same, even though tactically we approach them maybe differently. But fundamentally, what we need to make sure is that there is relevant content on the site that solves the problems of the user. The site is structured the way that it's easy to crawl for Google and access all the important pages of the site. And we need external signals like backlinks, because Google uses backlinks and other signals to understand how authoritative this content is, how trustworthy it is. So these fundamentals haven't changed. And going forward, when AI is taking over more and more of search share, which is probably going to happen, especially with new generations using generative AI to find answers, to discover products, brands, and all of that, these fundamentals will still remain the same. We need to have relevant content that is user-centric, that is solving their problems with the context of the products that you create or anything like that. So we still need that. We still need brand visibility that comes with backlinks, because unless we talk about a brand, generative AI is not going to know about it. So this fundamental remains the same. And we need easy usable website for people and search and AI bots to crawl it. So this is all going to change, not going to change. What is changing is how we measure results, because previously we had clicks, Google Analytics, Search Console, and pretty much that's it. SEO tools like Ahrefs and SEMrush are also helpful as well. This AI is bringing more dynamics. So every answer that AI is giving is probably different from what you see, from what your customers see. So it's a lot of unpredictability. With that, this is the part that we're going to try and solve, and that's why I'm so interested in discovering new tools, how they approach brand reputation management, monitoring, using AI tools as well. All of that, like even AI overviews that Google launched last week, I think, or maybe the previous week, they are still very dynamic. Sometimes you see them, sometimes they do not see, sometimes they include certain backlinks, sometimes the links are different references. So all of that is going to be an errand trial for us as an industry to figure out how we make the strategies more predictable, because the fundamentals remain the same. How to measure results and success is going to change a lot, and we haven't still figured it out. So I'm doing my best to be on top of everything that is going on and new tools that come up and solve those problems on Twitter, LinkedIn. Usually those two are enough for me to kind of be up to date with what is going on, because I follow people who share news, results, case studies, tools, and that's how I find out about them. So just being part of the SEO community is very effective in terms of being on top of what's going on.
I see. And as you mentioned, I see Google is experimenting like many things nowadays in AI search and etc. And that's really interesting. And at the same time, I see the people's behavior is changing, meaning from searching to more like asking to large language model. Let's say, for example, like ChatGPT has over 100 million users, and meaning like people switching from searching to asking directly to large language models. And how do you think that behavior change impact in SEO or yeah?
I know it looks like it's a very recent change in behavior. In reality, Google has been trying to become an answer engine rather than search engine for about 6 years now. If you remember 6 years ago, when like 10 years ago, when we were searching Google, you would get just organic results, and you will get to decide which of them gives you a better answer, which of them you need to read, which one you need to leave. But it hasn't been like that for many years. Google, I think it's been 8 years, maybe even 10 years since Google has introduced featured snippets and quick answers. So anytime you search, you see the quick answer right on top of everything. Voice search has been around also for many years, when people would just talk queries to a mobile device and Google would give answers. People also ask all those related questions, helping people to find more about the topic and make more informed decisions. Knowledge graph, that's what you see when you search for any brand. Quick information about this brand, its history, its founders, all of that. So there are so many. It has been the evolution of Google for many years. It's more obvious right now. So asking questions and giving answers isn't a new thing. It's something we've been doing for many years. We've been optimizing for featured snippets for about 10 years now. And that's exactly about giving quick answers to questions, because you want to be featured. So you want this answer to be very concise, so that Google could pick it up and show to people. So in that respect, it has been a trend for a while, and it's not like we are not ready for it. We know how to optimize content for it to give good, concise, very quick answers to people, so that when they ask a question, they give exactly what they need, and it's right there out there. AI is just making it, again, a little bit more dynamic, because previously we would get our site featured for some queries, and then we would see exactly how people click on it, how they interact with pages, if they are satisfied with that answer, or if they search for more answers. So it's been trackable and measurable. And now when all those questions are asked to AI bots or AI platforms, it's very dynamic. So it's not exactly that trackable anymore. So it will be harder for us to understand which answers satisfy those questions better, and which are more discoverable and answerable. So we will see. I think we have a long history of being able to give good answers to optimize for Google. So we will use that experience to optimize for AI platforms going forward. So yes, it's a challenge to be discovered by generative AI platforms like ChatGPT and all of that. But I'm pretty sure that we have all the needed experience that we've been accumulating for 20 years now, optimizing for bots. It's just a little bit smarter, more dynamic bot, but it's still a bot. And we can definitely give answers to that. Also, in terms of the people losing interest in search, it's too early to say. There is no statistics that would prove that people really switch from search to ChatGPT or other generative AI platforms. They may be using both at some point, but I don't think one replaces the other. So I search when I need in-depth information about products I want to buy, about brands I want to deal with, about some information that I need to write about. So it's still more in-depth process than going to ChatGPT for a quick answer, create me this code, or give me who is the I don't know, who is the president of some country. So those are not as in-depth as search right now. So I'm not sure. Yes, the expectations are changing, searching behaviors are changing, but it's too early to say how exactly they're going to change in 5 years, for example, because right now what I'm seeing is people are just using both. It's just for different tasks.
Yes, totally. Yes. Thank you. And also you mentioned, you help many companies and projects before, and your advice based on what they do in their branding, what they do in service. And then, but also you mentioned that, AI is impacting like small companies too. And what's your, how can, like, let's say, since we are startup, how can startup or small companies uh, should deal with AI, like in terms of SEO? Like, let's say we wanna somehow surface our content to specific term or long tail keyword, something, and should we use just AI to create content? I think answer is no, right? And we should, or somehow we should leverage, but should we leverage AI for our content management? Or what's the best way to deal with, I mean, work with AI or use AI? Or we shouldn't?
Yes, you should, but not for content creation for sure. I've been dealing with all kinds of tactics in SEO. Some of them were perfectly white hat, some of them were gray hat. I've had experience with much of them. So I'm not saying that because of the ethic approach or because it may someday be penalized. Not because of that. My biggest point here is that you want your content to be unique. And unfortunately, generative AI is just repurposing other people's content. So there's nothing new that would let you stand out or build your customer base based on how good your content is and how unique it is. When I'm saying unique, it's not just copy escape passable. It's based on your experience in the niche, based on your unique expertise in that topic, based on which problems your specific products are solving and the unique way they are doing that, based on your value proposition. All of those are very important to be reflected in your content strategy. So it's not just writing how to cook something again and again. There are all kinds of recipes that are available, but they should be different for Google to be able to surface you, or for AI platforms to use your content to bring it forward to the people. So I don't use generative AI for generating content in that way, because there's nothing new in that content that could be claimed yours. There is no experience, first-hand experience with the topic. There is no value proposition, anything. All of that is very important for the content to work, because people will be tired, and they are already tired of generated AI-generated content, because it's just quick answers. So there is no depth, no personal experience in that, nothing like that. And you will be losing people even if you manage to attract them to your site, because there will be nothing you that would find there. So no, we do not recommend creating content using creating creative content. There are some very strong use cases for using generative AI in SEO anyways. First of all, if you have product specifications, generative AI can create descriptions of those products, and they can be very, very good. You don't have to have real unique experience there, and it doesn't have to be the only content on the page. But if you want your raw, boring product specifications to sound well, generative AI can help there. You can also ask ChatGPT about keywords, what people you think are searching when they, this is my product, generate, this is my product, main product, for example, this is what I'm doing. Create all kinds of keywords that people may be using when they're searching these topics. How do I attract people to my site using SEO? Which keywords should I be focusing on? It's more like ideation. It's not like your final point. After that, you do keyword research. You find out the demand for those keywords, the search volume for those keywords. You search for those keywords and see if that's really what people, it's really relevant for you. So ChatGPT is like a starting point, more brainstorming for keywords. You can ask ChatGPT to make your meta descriptions better, or you suggest some titles variations for a specific article or product page. You can copy paste your article to ChatGPT or Gemini. I actually like that one better, and ask, how can I make it better? How make it more helpful? Suggest some more topics that I need to cover. Or sometimes if I review some tools, for example, or some solutions, I would copy paste it to Gemini and ask, create a comparison table with pricing, pros and cons, examples. You can search for examples yourself, I would say. That would be my prompt. And there will be a very helpful comparison table that summarizes everything that I personally wrote and summarizing my personal experience and research. There would be a comparison table for people to make it easier to make a choice, or just like a summary of page. Sometimes I would ask ChatGPT or Gemini to create takeaways from my content so that I can put it somewhere on top of my article, make it easier for people to understand what this article is about. Everything you do with in terms of content summarization, all of that using generative AI, make sure to review, double check it, edit it, because they hallucinate and sometimes they would invent something that I didn't have in my article. So keep that in mind. So everything that generative AI is creating should be revised, because there are some weird things that they can come up with. But overall, it's very helpful in terms of making my content creation more productive, giving me more ideas, helping me come up with a better way to say something, especially when I create headlines or titles, because I'm terrible with making those very engaging and clickable. So it's helpful, but not in a direct way. And I don't see it to be ever useful for creating actual content, because they are repurposing other people's thoughts, and your content needs to have your or your team's thoughts, expertise, all of that.
And uniqueness, right? Yeah, it should be unique. Yeah,
absolutely. And unique in a way that it brings something new. So it's not just unique in the word way, like it's but also adding something new to this topic. It's usually and easy when you're writer, or if you're creating that content, if you have a first-hand experience. If I'm reviewing a tool, I make sure that I use it and I know my tasks and I know exactly where it's lacking, what it does, where it's helpful. And that's the unique experience that no other tool will have unless they just repurpose someone else's experience.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. And do you have and then you have worked with many clients before so far, and do you have any examples, let's say your the big success example that made you proud of, or and also what's your failure in project? Do you have both cases and examples?
Well, I will not name
my
clients just because we use NDA with them. I can talk about my own project, though. It's been 10 years since I gave it up, but it's an interesting story. It's both a success and a failure. So back when I started, everyone wanted links because links were the only thing that worked. These days, it's much more balanced because there are other signals in play. But back when I started, I didn't know how to build my personal brand. So I started writing for other people who already have some community, some readership. And I quickly realized that guest blogging is a great way to get your name out there in any industry. And it also brought links to your site as well. So I started a project that was called My Bloggist, where people could come and just exchange. Someone would host articles, someone would write for someone, so there's like no money involved. Everyone was publishing content just because they liked it. And it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. No one at that point, no one knew what guest blogging was or guest posting. So I was ranking not for that term, but for my brand name, because everyone knew My Bloggist, but no one was searching for anything that would, there was no keyword even when I started. So my brand name was so huge. Now, when people realized that was great for backlinks, they started guest blogging for en masse, like bulk guest blogging. They started paying money for that. And at some point, Google was like, you know what? You cannot guest blog anymore. Stop it. Our platform was very clean. We did not allow any money exchange. We made sure that the quality of articles was better, so great that someone would want to publish it for free. So there was no money involved. But we were the biggest name in the industry. So what Google did, it penalized us, and not just penalized, but made a huge PR story of that. Like everyone was writing about that. They made like a huge example of that brand, so to get that point across. So my success story here is that I built a brand that is big enough for Google to make example of it. But at the other end of that story, it got penalized, so I had to give it up. So it's both a success of how I build a brand and how it failed. Google penalized us, so we were not coming up for our brand name, which was our only keyword that we cared about. So we were not findable for our brand name. That's how they did it. So and that was the only keyword that we really cared about, because no one else would, no, at that point, people would search for guest blogging because we made it very popular. But to this day, I'm known in the industry as a guest blogging expert, even though I haven't been involved in that project for about 10 years now. And also because there are so many sites that were penalized because of the guest blogging, it's also called Smarty Update because it somehow came up to me. So the moral of that story, and I keep talking about that even now after so many years, is that yes, branding is important. You need to build a huge brand that is recognizable, that is not everyone knows about. But keep in mind that it can still blow up back on you, because there could be reputation management issues when people just like talking something negative about well-known brands, or like in our case, you can lose your brand because it was too well known in our industry. So it's an interesting case study that I'm still a huge fan of branding. And I always say that because I was able to build not just that brand, but also my personal brand, I'm able to switch from project to project, even if they fail. So branding is still very, very important. Just keep in mind, once it becomes too big, it's not just yours anymore. It's not just, you cannot control what people are saying about it, what Google does with it, about all of that. So keep that in mind always.
Oh, by the way, so what's the difference like between, like, there are some blogging platform like a Medium, Substack, and those platform, and also you said, guest posting, and seems like if I see things differently, blogging platform is kind of allowing people like guest posting, right? Is that the same thing, or is that different? You mean?
It's a little bit different in a way that when you come to a big blog, there is already a huge number of people who read it on a daily basis, who are subscribed to it, who visit it every day, who come back for news or new guidelines or something like that. So you provide your content to an already established readership. You don't have to even promote it any much, because you can just be no one. No one knows you, but if you're a good writer and your article is published on a big publication, you will see a lot of exposure. When you create an account on sites like Medium, LinkedIn, what's else, Substack, you need to build this up. You need to build up your account to have that kind of exposure. So new accounts don't have much recognition or exposure there, because you need to build your readership there individually. And the more you write, the more your articles get discovered within the platform, but you need to build it up. So this is the basic difference between guest blogging for a blog, or guest writing for someone established, and creating content on Medium or things or platforms like that.
I see. Interesting. Thank you. And I read your article a bit before, before, and you mentioned you tapped on like the Reddit, and but we should leverage Reddit, to branding and marketing some point. And could you elaborate on that? Like, how Reddit is kind of unique platform, right?
Reddit is a very unique platform that you need to take very carefully. Why we've been using Reddit for many years to reach link amplifiers. There are a lot of journalists and bloggers who use Reddit to track trends, news, especially if like local journalists in some area. So they want to know what's happening in that area so that they can cover that. They're always looking for something newsworthy to write about. And Reddit is a great way to put that content in front of them if you do this right. Because if you get spammy, you will be just penalized or blacklisted there. So we have created a very careful program where we do not necessarily promote anything, like saying, hey, look, this is a great tool, a great infographic, but we bring it up very carefully, and we know which subreddits are much milder and welcome that sort of content. So it's something we've been doing for many years. Now, why Reddit is so important for SEO these days? For two reasons. First, Google does have agreement with Reddit for using their content for analysis, for making their algorithm better, all of that. And secondly, Reddit ranks, and it ranks like crazy. For anything you search, you will see not just one block of Reddit, but 2 blocks of Reddit. That is also very important. So sometimes there's organic Reddit results. Sometimes there are specific Reddit discussion and forums results that also include Reddit. So it's at this point, it's dominating search in a big way. Especially it's very tricky when there are brand-driven queries. So let's say someone is searching for product reviews, and instead of seeing your well-curated Yelp or whatever Trust Radius reviews, on top of everything else, they see this company sucks, because that's how Reddit writes about anything. They are very negative when it comes to discussing products and their experiences with brands. And I get it. If you're a happy customer, there is no reason for you to go to Reddit and start a thread, I love this company. But if you are an unhappy customer, you can do whatever. You go to Reddit and talk about that brand as much as you can. So I understand why Reddit is mostly negative when it comes to discussing products and customers, their customer experience and all of that. But it's something we have to solve, because there will always be unhappy customers with any brand. There is no way that all the customers are happy. Like, I've never seen like anything like that. And those Reddit threads are ranking all over the place for all important brand-driven queries. So this is another thing that we are trying to solve for our clients with by creating things like brand-driven subreddits, so they rank instead of those threads, by trying to very carefully talk sometimes in those threads. Again, there's no way you can come to a thread like that on Reddit and say, no, I've had a good experience with that company. You will be called out. You will annoy everyone there. It's Reddit is such a touchy-feely community, especially some of those subreddits, where you almost better to not say anything than trying to protect your brand or your reputation. So there are different cases for Reddit that there is no one thing that we do. We do community management on Reddit. We do content promotion on Reddit. We do outreach on Reddit. We do Reddit ads. But not all clients need all of that. So we approach every client differently. Sometimes there is a Reddit reputation crisis, and that should be addressed in the first place. Sometimes we provide content promotion services because the client needs more backlinks as they are behind their competitors. We do branding on Reddit as well in terms of creating Reddit communities. So it's different for every client, but it's very high priority issue at this point because Reddit is ranking very well, and it's to the point when it can scare off your future customers very easily from dealing with you, and you can invest your marketing budgets into SEO, into Facebook ads, into something else, and then people just search for your brand name and see negative Reddit threads and just never deal with you. So those are wasted budgets as well. So Reddit problem needs to be addressed from just about any business these days, and that's sometimes our high priority there too.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, so you mentioned that, so yeah, I have a question. So as a startup founder and building product, so yeah, for you, so what did you start with, like SEO? Like, if you are early stage startup and has almost no traffic, so what do you start with to get like brand awareness and traffic? And so if you are successfully so building traffic, building linking, and so getting traffic, and so for example, domain rating is already like 50 or something. So what would you do after that? So in that phase?
So the very first thing to do, and that's what we do for startups as well, is creating content-driven PR campaign. That's something we specialize in. What it does is it drives backlinks and brand awareness. So Google starts seeing that name, and that is the starting point for any SEO campaign. They need that initial brand awareness, initial clicks, initial backlinks. So usually we do them like regularly. So those are fresh signals keep coming to the site. So we do not stop those. And those are data driven. For example, if we have a real estate client that's only starting, just an example, we would create a huge study on how pricing for real estate has been changing throughout the years. We would use a lot of overlaying data sets. So there are other trends that like moving around the country because of those trends. So that would be very well researched projects that we promote to journalists. We do journalistic outreach. We do Reddit promotion with those to attract those coverage in media publications, on Reddit as well. So we do them continuously so that those fresh signals come to your site. Simultaneously, the fundamental part about getting traffic is solving your users' problems in your content on your blog. And that's where at the same time, while we attract external backlinks, I would start working on understanding those problems, making sure you know how those are researched using Google, so keyword research, and planning your editorial calendar so that every month there is a few articles on your site that are solving people's problems and giving your product in some kind of non-promotional but problem-solving context. So this is how we can help, or this is how our platform can help, and somewhere in the context of that article. So that also sends backlinks, internal backlinks to your landing pages that are about to rank, or to your homepage that you want to rank, or something else. So those two processes never stop, really. That's where you start, and you just continue going forward. When your site grows, so there is no like in the middle change here. You just keep going with these two. You attract brand awareness and backlinks, and you keep on-site work, trying to get those searchable keywords ranking so that your site comes up for some problems people are trying to solve, and they discover your product through that content. At some point in a couple of years, when the site goes too big, we will start to go back, update that content, bring it back in the site structure so that Google ranks it well again, restructuring the site to highlight more pages, because at that point there will be quite a few. So, but that's not for startups. It's not a problem until the site grows too much. So that's pretty much what we do for startups of any size, or even if it's 1 year old, it's still, both of those are helpful processes that kind of build up the content of the site and attract all the signals that allow that content to rank.
I see. And would you, and then let's say, let's say that the company works on a specific, like the industry or domains, and they run company for several years, then meaning like how to say, they cover all the keywords, and at that point, should they move on to another domain that to get more traffic, like a keyword domain, or would you rather recommend them to focus on one really specific important keywords, and which way we should take?
I would focus on one site and one brand for as long as I can. I've never seen a site ranking for all the keywords they needed. So it's still a lot of restructuring, reoptimizing, addressing, improving, because people do start losing organic clicks at some point because there are smarter competitors that enter the scene, or some more budgets or things like that. So I would focus on one domain as much as I can for two reasons. First of all, you don't want brand delusion, so you want people to know you and to focus, like to know your brand name, and it takes time to build that. Secondly, because there is such a concept as site authority. So the more you accumulate signals on one site, the more trustworthy all the pages of that site are considered by Google. So we want to build that up and up and up. And if you decide to switch somewhere else, that site will start losing those signals, those fresh signals, and at that point there will be loss in rankings as well. So as much as you can, keeping everything within, unless that's absolutely different project that you want just to build. I know startup founders just build those project after project, which is also fine with me, but not until you have another project. Keep everything going to one single site and build up that brand.
Keep the identity small, and in specific domain. Yeah, that makes sense. And since Glasp is this is a little bit a deep question, but since Glasp is a platform where people can leave their digital legacy for other people, then we hope that helps other people in the future. And as a SEO analyst and consultant and so on, brand marketer, what do you want to leave behind in the future? What's your goal? And what would you what kind of impact do you want to leave for others? And do you have those answers?
This is too deep.
Sorry,
To be
sorry.
honest,
Sorry.
to be honest, many years ago, I thought I had an answer because I built a great community, and I was excited that something is going to be left behind me. But after that, I kind of got into so many places. So I had kids. I traveled across the world. I've had so many career changes and roles. So I'm a little bit at a loss at this point what I want to leave behind. Maybe I will know when I get more focused on one thing, like creating my agency. But no, at this point I don't have that answer. So sorry to disappoint. I'm still searching for that thing that I want to leave behind. I think I'm still looking for it.
Thank you. Yeah. But you love, helping people and so on, right? I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit vague. I would love to build something that is there for generations, but we will see. We will see. I'm not sure yet, but it's been a lot going on, so I haven't been focused or organized too much for many years now, and it's just life, I think, because it's a lot to juggle and change and adjust to. So, but I'm sure I will find something. It has been a plan, to be honest, for quite some time. I've been thinking what it is I want to do that um, is will be my heritage, you know.
But similar question, not sure if you have it, but so do you have any favorite quotes, like, stay hungry, stay foolish, or your life is your message, something like quotes that so you like or that keeps you like motivating?
Everything is going to be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end.
That yeah,
I love it.
so,
Yes, I love
yeah,
it.
I like.
And also, do you have any advice to our audience and those people like aspiring writers, creator, maybe bloggers, and some has like hundreds of audience, some have I think tens of thousands of audience, yeah, followers, I think.
I remember I started as a blogger, so I started as a writer in the public SEO community. Before that, I was doing SEO, but then I decided to share my journey of learning SEO on a site, and I started writing. And what was motivating for me was meeting other people who write on similar topics and kind of be part of that community. I think a lot of writers, bloggers are too isolated, and so they give up too early, or they're not part of that community. So try as much as you can. It's time consuming. It takes a lot of hours a day. Sometimes you don't know why you're doing this. Sometimes they annoy you, because I was penalized at a few SEO forums before I figured out what can and cannot be said or how. So everyone has been there. Sometimes it's very frustrating experience, but just trying your hard to be part of the community that you're trying to write for, or just same writers. You don't have to actually meet up with them. I didn't see people until I hadn't seen anyone in our industry until I came to this country. But at that point, when I came, everyone already knew me. They didn't believe I existed because no one ever met me. But when I came, everyone was like, oh my God, you exist. And it was such a great experience. So you don't have to even travel to know people and be, I built so many great friends, lifetime friends, working from Ukraine, never leaving the country. But they defined my career. Some people invited me to be co-founders with never meeting me. Some people invited me to become give me jobs. I was director of media of a huge agency back when I was still in Ukraine. So meeting people shows you the way what you can achieve. It will give you opportunities that you never thought about. I never thought about becoming editor-in-chief for Search Engine Journal, but I was just part of that community and I got invited. So all the opportunities coming from meeting people, I think the concept is called serendipity. It's when you make your own luck by doing a lot of things. So you open up yourself to opportunities by spending time helping people, meeting people, talking to them. Like even with you guys, I just met, and here I mentioned you in an article. Now you invited me here, so all those opportunities would never come up without, and we don't even know where it's still going. So all of those opportunities come up. Some of them will be one time, twice you meet and forget. Some of them will become long-term partners or friends who will be helping you throughout the years. So that would be my advice: get out there and spend time with people, even if it's just online. You can be not very social. You cannot even know English. When I was in Ukraine, I could not really speak English very well, but you can still meet people and be part of that community. That's when you will find more ways to make money, maybe more projects to co-found, partners, jobs, careers. All of that is for me, everything was defined by just being an active part of an SEO community.
Beautiful. Yeah, love it. Thank you so much for all the insights and advice. And yeah, thank you for joining today.
Thank you so much for having me, and let's keep in touch and let me know when it's published. I'll make sure to share it around. Thank you.
Thank you.
You.